I'm excited to start a new video lesson with you guys. This week we're going to be learning about 7 wonders of the world. And the 7 wonders are all natural wonders, which means that they are not man-made, they are not made by people. They are 7 different amazing natural wonders of the world, and there's one for each continent. So we're going to first learn about the different continents. There are 7 different continents that we're going to be learning about. So we have North America, South America, Europe, Africa, Asia, Australia, and Antarctica. So all of these different continents are very, very big sections of land in the world. Each one is special in its own way, and each one has one of the 7 wonders that we're going to be talking about. Okay, Alice, so the first wonder of the world that we're going to be learning about today is Mount Kilimanjaro, which is located in Africa. So Kilimanjaro is a word that the locals use for the mountain, and it means shining mountain. And when I show you the picture of Kilimanjaro, you'll understand why they call it the shining mountain. It's that's the word for shining mountain in Swahili, in that language. So Kilimanjaro means shining mountain. It's a freestanding mountain, which I had to really try to look up how to explain the difference between a freestanding mountain and another type of mountain, which we'll get into, which is like Mount Everest. So the freestanding mountain means that this mountain isn't really connected to many other mountains in a bigger section. It is one single mountain that is located in Africa. So some information that I can tell you about this mountain is that it rises to 15,000 feet from the base to the highest peak. So that means from the lowest point, if you were standing on the ground before you would start climbing the mountain, and then the very highest peak, which would be the very, very top of the mountain, is 15,000 feet, which is very, very, very big. This is why Mount Kilimanjaro is considered one of the wonders of the world. The other thing that is interesting about this mountain is that it is also a volcano. So it is a mountain and a volcano. And it has had explosive eruptions, so when a volcano erupts, but the last time that it erupted was 100,000 years ago. Our next natural wonder of the world is Mount Everest, which is in the continent of Asia. This is the largest and the highest mountain on Earth. So we just learned that Mount Kilimanjaro was 15,000 feet, and Mount Everest is almost 30,000 feet, from the bottom all the way to the top, which is actually double the size of Mount Kilimanjaro. So something that I can share with you about the location of Mount Everest is that it is on the border of Nepal and China. So that means that it is between those two countries. It is above an area called the Death Zone, which sounds like a little bit spooky of an area. But the Death Zone for Mount Everest is referring to this section where human lungs and the way that we breathe, the air becomes so thin and the air is different once you climb to a certain part of the mountain that a human would not be able to survive unless they had like some extra oxygen and they had something to breathe through to help them continue to climb the mountain, because it would be much too high and a human being would not be able to live without the extra oxygen. So that's why they call it the Death Zone, which kind of sounds a little bit intense. The top of Mount Everest was first reached by a human being in 1953, and it was by a Sherpa named Tenzing Norgay, and it was also reached by a New Zealander named Sir Edmund Hillary. So these two people were able to climb to the top of Mount Everest in 1953. I mentioned that Tenzing Norgay is a Sherpa, and Sherpas are the local people who live at the bottom of Mount Everest. So they're the people who are there all of the time, not just people visiting. Our final video for today, for our first section of the 7 wonders of the world, the natural wonders, is a very interesting one. And the reason that it's interesting is because some people believe that this natural wonder was always there and was built on its own. And some people believe that humans may have been the ones to create it, but there's not a lot of evidence for either way. It's kind of a mystery. So what people do know is that there were 400 pine trees that were planted in Poland. And this was in a village that was called the Nowe Żarnowo. I believe that's how you say it. And they were planted there in 1930. So that part of this natural wonder is man-made, which is a little bit tricky. So they call this area the Crooked Forest. And the reason they call it the Crooked Forest is because all of these pine trees have a very strange way that they bend. And I'll show you in the picture what they look like. But basically, when they start growing out of the ground, the tree bends to the side and then it comes back around. And it's very strange looking. And if you go there, there's all of these pine trees that are shaped this way. Some people do believe that a human tool or a human technique was used to make the trees grow this way and have that crazy bend to them. But other people think that there's a chance that the trees were planted and then there was an intense snowstorm that blew the trees and shaped them into this curved way. So no one's really 100% sure if it's a natural wonder or a man-made wonder. But maybe you guys have some guesses and you can tell me what you think. If you think it was a snowstorm or if you think people maybe turned these trees this way. So those are all of the natural wonders we're going to learn about today. And in our next video, we will do 4 more.